welcome to this month's edition of Conversations with the Mayor, our monthly talk with Mayor Dan Rizzo to talk about items and issues of interest going on in the city each month. Welcome, Dan, and thank you very much once again for being with us.
It's always my pleasure, Ed.
First on our topics that we wanted to talk about this month was a topic we mentioned last month, and we want to remind people about is the Revere Shines event coming up on April 27th. If I remember right.
Yeah, it's April 27th. It's probably well. Let me just say the rain date will be April 28th.
Okay, that's
in
good,
the
yes.
event of rain, which will be the following day on Sunday. But it's going to be from 9 a.m. to noon, and so far I was just informed prior to coming here that we have now over 300 people who have already pre-registered to volunteer. 220 some odd are from some sort of a company or corporate or organizational type participation. So, we've got a lot of different groups from sports teams to local retailers to some national retailers that are all going to be pitching in and helping clean up the city that day. And you may know that I went before the city council on Monday night.
Yep.
And asked them to pass a resolution acknowledging the 27th as Revere Shines Day, which they did, and they have all indicated support of the plan. And as I explained to them, yeah, we're going to do a ton of cleanup work that day. But, I mean, obviously, it's going to take a continuing effort through our own DPW, through our own private contractors that help clean the city, and, the inmate program. But it's also, and part of the reason that we're implementing and have implemented, this being our third one, is to create awareness, to create a strong sense of community that people will maybe keep it in the back of their minds, hey, let's keep our city clean together as a group, and it's a great chance to get out and meet your neighbors and help clean up your area. I mean, you'll have a great sense of accomplishment as we have the last couple of years we've done this. And then hopefully everybody reconvenes back at the American Legion, which we're initially going to meet at 9 o'clock, where we'll issue gloves and rakes and brooms and all that stuff. Come back to the American Legion where we'll have music. We're going to have a big barbecue. We've got local merchants that are donating sandwiches and pizza and drinks. And so it's going to be a real big celebration to celebrate our success in helping, join together to keep our city clean.
One of the items of interest relative to the Revere Shines Day is the recycle arrangement that I believe you've set up with the MBTA. Talk a little bit about that and what people can do if they have recycle items that they want to bring, I think it's to Wonderland? Yes.
This will be in the Wonderland parking lot on the Ocean Ave side. The MBTA has graciously offered up a site where they will accept recyclables. They're going to accept just about everything except, and I actually brought a little cheat sheet here, wood, glass, hazardous materials, paint, tires, mattresses, and a few other items, fluorescent bulbs, toilets. But in terms of what they will take, they'll take all types of electronics, computers, monitors, VCRs, cell phones. They're going to also electrical items such as, let me see here, power tools, light fixtures, all types of appliances, washers, dryers, air conditioning units, refrigerators, microwave ovens, trash compactors. They're going to be taking all this stuff for free. The one caveat is, and it was brought to my attention actually by somebody here at Revere TV, there is going to be a charge for people that want to drop off televisions. Televisions are going to be 35 cents a pound. So you may want to reconsider bringing a television down there because you might be able to get a better deal through the city, having the city actually pick it up and take it away for you by purchasing a ticket.
The newer flat panel ones are less heavy, but those old ones can get pretty heavy.
Exactly.
And I will say that I've got a whole barrel of stuff that I'm waiting to bring down today.
Yeah.
Electronic equipment, so that helps clarify it. Well, great. Moving on, there was another announcement that came out of your office, I believe, last month for a program that is either just getting underway, is about to get underway, and that's Citizen Connect. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, this was initiated in the city of Boston, and they've expanded it now to, I believe, 27 or 28 communities, Revere being one of them. And it will now allow our residents to download an application onto their smartphone. And so, for example, if you're outside in front of your house and you see a pothole there, you can take a picture of the pothole if you want. You don't necessarily have to take a picture of it, but you can take a picture of it. You just put the address in, click the button, it goes off, and your problem will be addressed in a short period of time. I actually took the liberty of taking my phone out here. Here's the application right here. I don't know if you can see it or if I held it up, if there is a way to zoom into that, but it actually it's very, very self-explanatory. It just says report. You click on the report, and then you just put your issue right in there, and it goes to wherever it has to. Now, as far as the issues go, we're able to track it. If you this should load here. Now you see those green, blue, and red. The green actually means that the issue has been acknowledged. The red means the issue has not yet been acknowledged by the city, and the blue means that the issue has been fixed.
Yep.
So
that's interesting.
yeah, it's a.
So you'll be able to actually, as a citizen, go online and see where the reports are coming from and what the status of the reports are.
Exactly, and people can download this by going to revere.org on their smartphone, and if they go to revere.org, they can follow the link. It will say, I forget exactly what it says, but it's up in the top right-hand side. And they'll be able to just, it's very, very simple. They can download it in less than 2 or 3 minutes.
So this app is available now for download?
It's available now.
Available now. And
we started using it at the beginning of the month.
Beginning of the month. I knew it was sometime soon. I couldn't remember exactly when it was.
Yeah.
That's great. Anything else about the program that people should know?
No, I mean, as I say, it's a great tool to be able to follow up if their issue actually has been addressed. Sometimes we get phone calls from people, or the DPW may get phone calls, or the inspectional services may get phone calls from people calling on behalf of somebody else. I'm calling for my mother, I'm calling for my father, I'm calling, for my grandparent, whatever. They have an issue. Well, they can follow that issue right by here without having to pick up the phone and actually call and be placed on hold. If they don't have to go through that whole rigmarole. They can actually follow the issue themselves, and then if they wanted to or had to, they could further follow up using the program to say, hey, what's going on with my issue? So there's not this time that you need to spend now on the phone, the old way. It's just another way where we're trying to go more electronically and trying to make it easier for the consumer, trying to make it easier for our residents.
Yeah, and it beats having to call and leave a message and then wondering if it ever got dealt with. Now you can go on your app and see what the status is.
And we can see. So my office can look. If there's an issue that's been sent to the DPW and it hasn't been dealt with, we'll be able to know that. So, I have to say the DPW has really embraced this program. We have another program. It's a work order management system that we've implemented over the last year or so, and they've embraced that. And it really is speeding up the way we can address people's problems. The old way with the piece of paper, sometimes that piece of paper can wind up at the bottom because of one reason or another. You do something electronically, it's there. You can't, it almost forces you to respond to it.
Bringing the city into the 21st century.
Try it, trying to.
That's great. Moving on, one of the things I wanted to talk about was you recently participated with a number of other mayors in the state on some initiatives and efforts to affect gun law changes. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this was actually, I belong to what's called the Massachusetts Mayor's Gun Coalition, and that spun out of the Mayors for Gun Control that was initiated by Mayor Bloomberg and Mayor Menino. They got together and said basically enough is enough in terms of guns flowing as freely as they do across state lines and illegally in many cases. So, you know, we are all collectively now calling on Congress, as you know and as most people know, to pass some real meaningful gun control legislation. In fact, the mass mayors got together and we put together this public service announcement that I believe we've actually sent to you and the staff here at Revere TV.
As a matter of fact, we do have it, and we're going to go right to that public service announcement right now.
You know, a mayor has the best job in the world.
But the worst part of that job is getting that call.
Another citizen has been shot.
Another life has been lost.
Another family destroyed.
Too many tears.
Too many eulogies.
Too many funerals.
Too many memorials.
Enough. No more families to console.
No more neighborhoods in mourning.
No more makeshift memorials.
No more guns.
Tearing apart our cities.
Demand a plan.
Every resident in this country needs to pick up the phone.
Washington needs to hear from you.
Citizens, not lobbyists, need to be heard.
As a mayor.
As a dad.
As an aunt.
As an uncle.
As a mom.
As a grandfather.
Demand a plan.
Demand a plan.
Demand a plan.
Demand a plan.
Coming back from that PSA, I mean, it was incredible to see, and it's so needed. You know, I'm definitely in support of gun control, and I understand today, I believe there's supposed to be a vote coming before the Senate, if I'm not mistaken, which has been one of the major obstacles to getting something moving ahead on the issue. Is that not true?
Yes, and you know, we're fully expecting that. You know, thankfully, you know, we here in Revere, at least since I've been mayor of the city, has not really had any serious issues regarding illegal guns, and hopefully that will never happen. But, you know, we all know that it exists. I mean, you know, police do confiscate guns from time to time, and oftentimes they are not legally owned. So, you know, it's very, very important. Obviously, the public safety for all of us as mayors across not only Massachusetts but across the country is paramount. So, you know, with Congress bickering back and forth, you know, we thought we'll interject ourselves in the process. You know, it's not, you know, mayors, at least myself and I think most mayors, are not against guns per se, but we are very pro background checks, and you know, 20% of the guns out there being sold right now require no background checks. So you know, there's, you know, when they say guns don't kill people, you know, people kill people. Well, then let's make sure these people are actually, you know, should be rightful owners of guns, and I don't think that's unreasonable to ask.
Yeah, we could do a whole hour show on that, but and you make a valid point. This is that, you know, it's not trying to eliminate the guns, although they're trying to eliminate some of the semi-automatic rifles and so forth. Right. But the main thing is trying to increase the background checks and the controls over who gets guns to try and limit the amount. And you know, anything is better than what we've got now, which is basically nothing. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
So moving on from there, I wanted to ask you about current activities with the Broadway revitalization project and some other economic development issues. But let's start with Broadway.
Well, Broadway, as we initially rolled out, will be like a 3-year program. So this essentially is our first year. You know, we spent the first year, you know, putting together the plan and you know, mapping out what we were going to do going forward. And so you can see, really as of today, there's been work ongoing, but if you drive down Broadway, oddly enough today, you'll see the new lighting going up, which really I think looks terrific. I'll have to wait and get some feedback from our residents, but I'm very, very hopeful that you know, that people will be satisfied. And then going forward, we have a meeting of the Broadway Advisory Council, which is made up of people, interested parties, and property owners and business owners on Broadway that are kind of that have helped us map out the you know, the future for our central business district, and we're meeting with them, I think, in another few weeks, and then we're going to be going forward with I believe the knocking down of the garages behind the City Hall to create more parking. And
wonderful, because that was and not to interrupt you, but I'm glad to hear that, because the whole issue of Broadway revitalization and parking, I was saying, why don't they use that for parking? So you've already done it. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that you're welcome, and really, it's and I know that you recognize this. Businesses, they look for infrastructure. They need parking. If we don't have parking, why do businesses want to locate in an area like Broadway? So they need people to be able to park, and so we're going to try to make that happen and make that a reality as soon as possible, and then continue going down and providing streetscape improvements, storefront improvements, signage improvements. This is all going to happen over the next 2 years. So
that's great. Yeah. Now, moving to another part of the city, there's a major announcement about to come down the road relative to Harley Davidson moving to the city of Revere. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, Harley Davidson is going to be moving in where Johnny's Food Master formerly existed. They've bought up all that property, that strip mall that Johnny's Food Master is in, as well as Bally's Fitness and the warehouse right next door to Bally's. So they've bought up really that whole area, and they're going to put one of their major national headquarters there. It's going to be a real strong presence for them, and they bought the property for, I believe, $12 million. They have to go before the city council sometime toward the end of the month. I think it's April 22nd or 29th, because they are going to need some relief via a special permit. But I suspect, and I'm hopeful, that the council will be receptive. They're a major league business, good business. I think will bring an awful lot to that area in terms not only of the business that they're going to have located there, but they're also going to do an awful lot of improvements aesthetically to make that whole area look really nice. So
I would imagine it'll bring more jobs to the city too, because I mean that's a huge footprint versus what they have now in Everett. So I would imagine they're going to be adding people and so forth. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And anytime you can, this is I think a great example of, when you make yourself competitive as a city, as a community, as an economic target area, you can create your own opportunities. Like, here's a business that's located over in Everett, but for one reason or another is finding it more appealing over here in Revere. And that has been our goal from day one, is to make Revere a good place to do business, because it's only going to enhance the entire community. It's not, nobody wants to look at empty, run-down buildings. Our goal is to see meaningful businesses that employ people, that make the city more vibrant, and that's a prime example to me of the direction that I and my administration wants to see the city move forward toward.
What better location to be in terms of showing off your product than that intersection there, Copeland Circle, Route 1, all the traffic coming by there, and as you were saying earlier, they probably bought it just for the big Bally sign that exists there, yeah? So they could put the Harley Davidson sign up on those poles.
I think any business owner would love to have that sign.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Moving to another economic development activity that's going on, and that's the Market Basket that's being built at North Shore, or Northgate Shopping Center, excuse me. And to the tax benefits and the incentives and the benefit to the city of that. You were talking earlier today about how providing TIFs to some of these businesses actually ends up helping the residents of the city by lowering costs. You want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, when we originally started talking to Market Basket about coming to Revere and what it would take to get them to locate here in Revere, because as we all know, their largest store is just over the line in Chelsea. But a lot of people in Revere, for one reason or another, don't want to travel over to Chelsea, so they'll stay more local or only occasionally make their way over to Chelsea. It's a very, very busy place. And so, but the thing with Market Basket, I think, as most people know, is that they're very, very competitive. And a lot of people do enjoy shopping at Market Basket, or would at least like the option to have a Market Basket. I think when you have options with respect to certainly grocery shopping, something, it's I mean, people generally shop once a week at least, and so, you spend at the end of the year a significant amount of money. It's great to have options, and I think Market Basket will provide that option. And so when we were looking to provide a tax credit, or when we were negotiating with Market Basket to try to, tell them why we feel Revere is a great place for them and how we can make it a more appealing place for them to come. When we're talking about these tax credits, we were also thinking, well, yeah, we're going to give away some money in terms of tax credits, but at the same time, our residents are going to benefit by potentially lower costs on their overall grocery bills. So, it's not just the tax credit. Sometimes people jump up, well, we're giving them tax credits.
Yes.
But there's oftentimes a reason why we're doing that, so that at the end of the day, it benefits our residents. So, and not only that, but I think Market Basket will be a great catalyst down in that Northgate area because of the amount of traffic that I believe they're probably going to have. It's going to probably lure a lot of other businesses down to Northgate that may want to locate and take advantage of that traffic.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that develops. And as I told you earlier, my wife is really looking forward to it because she likes shopping in Market Basket, and she loves the fact that it'll be in Revere now.
Your wife and my wife also. So.
And I'm sure a lot of other ones.
Yeah.
So moving on to another issue that's near and dear, and topic that's near and dear to people's hearts and on their minds all the time, the casino. First off, I'd like to start with what do you foresee as the impact of Mayor Menino announcing that he's not going to run for another term? I know you and he have had a lot of conversations, because you're working kind of in partnership in terms of the casino. What do you see any impact his not running on how soon this will move ahead, or whether or not it will even get approved within the city of Boston?
Yeah. Well, for me, on a personal level, I mean, I'm, my knee-jerk reaction was really a lot of disappointment. I've enjoyed, obviously, working with him, and have learned quite a bit in working with him. And this obviously is a major project, so, couldn't ask for a better partner to be working with. But in the big picture, we were having a conversation. We met last Tuesday. And he feels in some way, as much as he really doesn't, I think deep down he really doesn't want to leave the job. He loves it.
Oh, he does. Yes.
But he feels in some way with respect to the casino project where the license is going to be given out by the Gaming Commission, he feels as though his departure would actually be helpful. Because then no one can say, well, Suffolk got the license because of Mayor Menino, his influence, or there was pressure of some sorts. He feels as though that this actually helps Suffolk Downs with respect to their application for licensing, because, not that it was ever any different, but I think perception can sometimes get in the way.
Yep.
And so it's going to be all on the merits of the project, which is the way that it should be.
Should be.
And so he feels as though maybe my involvement in it actually maybe helps them a little bit, so that they're not under that umbrella of, arguably the strongest political figure in the state.
Yep.
Being, supportive or behind them. So.
Do you see that between now and the end of his term that he'll continue to be active in moving it along within the city of Boston? Because, the sense, and we've had some conversations about this, is as moves the city of Boston, so moves Revere in terms of moving this ahead.
Yeah, he's not going to sit. He's not going to sit behind his desk idly for the next 9 months.
Yep.
In fact, I suspect this will probably be the busiest 9 months he may have ever had in office.
I think he said, he's not done yet.
No, he, so he will see this project through, and I could only hope, the timetable was so close with respect to the Gaming Commission. But it would be such a great thing. Actually, two things. One, that Suffolk Downs actually does become the recipient of the license in our region. And two, that he's still in office to actually be there when it happens, because he has been a big part of it. So.
A couple of other articles that have occurred recently relative to the casino bids and so forth is, first is Everett's, or Steve Wynn's proposal for Everett. That was just released, I think, the week before last with the big splash in Everett and City Hall, and I believe Mayor DeMaria said he's close to having their host community agreement done and looking to have a referendum vote sometime in June. Do you see that introduction of that proposal and his time frame having any impact on how you're moving ahead or the city of Boston moving ahead with their proposals and so forth?
No, I'm not. We have to worry about. The project that we're supporting. I don't have any control over what happens over in Everett.
I'm sure.
I still think. I mean, if you took, if you just looked at everything at face value, and you look at Suffolk Downs with 140, 150 acres, a beautiful horse track that they're going to make, more beautiful, and you juxtapose that versus a 34-acre site of a former chemical plant with really not that great access and egress, I like our chances, but I'm not one of the gaming commissioners, so they're going to have to make their own minds up. But I do like, I do feel as though that, Suffolk at the end of the day is going to present a terrific proposal that is going to put an awful lot of people to work, an awful lot of people from our city to work. And it's going to mean a lot of revenue, a lot of opportunity, and a lot of additional what I like to call collateral investment opportunities for people.
And that's a point that I've made with a number of people, and admittedly I'm prejudiced. I'm from Revere. I'd like to see it happen here. But when I look at the various proposals, the projects, Milford, Everett, Revere, East Boston Casino, and you think about the overall benefit to the state in terms of the casino's success and to the money that the state will make from economic development that results from it, it seems to me that that's the project that's going to bring the most to the state in terms of money. And I would hope that the Gaming Commission thinks about that as they
I'm very hopeful. And the other thing, too, that I don't think Suffolk Downs did a good enough job on was this is going to be the first green casino, not only in New England, not only in the United States, it's going to be the first green casino in the world. And, they should be touting that a little bit more. It's, it really is going to be as state of the art as you can get. And, I know that this is really what everybody is pushing for, from both on a state and national level. We're all talking about conservation, energy conservation, and going more green. And what better, to have in your back pocket in terms of, part of your proposal than being a green casino. So.
And that brings us to the last point that I had here in the question, or the issue, relative to the casino was their 3D rendition of the project plan or the model for the project. If I understand, tomorrow night is Thursday night is the Revere viewing. I think East Boston already had their viewing, and then Saturday the 13th it's open to the general public. I'm sure you've probably seen it already. I'm sure during that they'll probably talk a little bit about that whole green initiative. But can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not even sure that I mean, you've heard the substance and then the sizzle. This, I think, is the sizzle.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with the substance, and, but I think it will be actually pretty good for people to go and look around and feel and touch and see and what it's going to actually look like. It's a great thing, I think, for people to get a sense of what they might be able to see. But from my own personal perspective, I'm just going to stick with the, are we addressing these, traffic impacts? Are we addressing these, public safety impacts? And so that stuff, I think, is great, and it's great they're doing that. I'd like to see them do a better job getting their name out and doing more things from a public relations standpoint, because, as you alluded to, Ed, you see Wynn. I mean, it seems like every time you open the paper, Wynn's in it.
Yep.
And so...
Yeah, and I've had conversations with Chip Tuttle and yourself at some point in time, but primarily with Chip, is saying, look, you do need to get out there and really put forth your traffic plan, and you need to talk about what you're doing about public safety, because when it comes time to voting on that host community package or the project as a whole, the more information that people have you know, the more likely that vote is to go in your favor.
Exactly.
Planned right. Yep.
Exactly.
Well, Dan, thank you once again for a wonderful discussion. I look forward to these every month, and I look forward to our next.
I do too. I do too.
Right.
Thanks so much for giving me this opportunity. Always enjoy it.
All right, wonderful. Well, for Revere TV, your community source, Dan Rizzo, Ed DeVoe, take care. We'll see you next month.